Hello everyone, this is Angela and welcome to my channel, Angie the ENTJ. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notification bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. Since the passport bros, the PP bros, have landed onto the African continent, they have brought their particular brand of chaos, confusion, and have tried to triangulate Western women against Eastern women and are now attempting to drag African women into their sludge. However, the reality is that no matter where they go to, they keep running into the exact same woman. See, they are like Eddie Murphy during his skit on his search for Umfufu. Let's watch.
You don't own your woman. When they tell you, you're going to put a ring on my finger, that shuts you right up. You say, okay, because you don't. I know you spend a lot of your money on your woman, and I know you go to the movies, and you go to get the ice cream and the candy and the flowers and the anklets and the bracelets and to help her get some clothes, and you're spending all your money on shit you would never spend it on, but you don't own her. Just theoretically, that pussy's on lease. You're leasing the pussy with an option to buy. But be careful, because you lose half on the trade-in. You got to be careful. You got to have a J.O.B. in the 80s. You got to have some money. You got to have some money. You can't get no pussy. Listen to the radio. That's what it's about. Listen to Madonna. I'm a material girl in a material world. You ain't got no money. You can't have no pussy. Basically what it is. There's a song out now called Got to Have a J.O.B. If You Want to Be With Me. And the lyrics go, ain't nothing going on but the rent. Like if you went up and said, hey babe, what's going on? The rent, motherfucker. Do you have a job? Well, ow, they get the fuck out of my face. Got to have some money. It says no romance without finance. And women love them songs. They become, got to have a J.O.B. Janet Jackson got a hit record. What have you done for me lately? That's what they be thinking. What have you done for me lately? The record start off like that. I know he used to do shit for you, but what has he done for you lately? Baby, I love you. What have you done for me lately? You the only thing on my mind. What have you done for me lately? We make good love. What have you done for me lately? Got to have some money to get the pussy in the 80s. It's fucked up. That's why I say, hey, I'm a target. If I ever get married, I have to go off to the woods of Africa and find me some crazy, naked zebra bitch that knows nothing about money. She got to be butt naked on a zebra with a big bone in her nose and a big plate lip and a big fucked up afro. An afro got to, like Angela Davis see it and go, God damn, that's fucked up. Afro got to be fucked up and one of them pics with a fist in the back, and she got to be butt naked, because if she got some clothes she gonna pocket, she gonna have to put something in the pocket. So she got to be butt naked on the zebra, and y'all think it's a joke. Y'all gonna go, I'm gonna walk up to her and say, hey, how you doing? Money? And she go, I will. I say, Miss Murphy. And I'm bring her home. Y'all think it's a joke. Y'all gonna go past a newsstand one day and see me on the cover of Jet with some woman with a big bone and a plate and a big fucked up afro, butt naked, and y'all gonna say, hey, Eddie must be visiting Africa. I'll say, Murphy marries Bush bitch. I'm gonna be like, what? Because I ain't getting caught. I refuse to get caught out there. Fuck that. And I'm bring her home and lock her up in the house. You go off to Africa and get you a bush woman, you can't let her mingle with American women, because they'll change her shit up. American women stick together. Last thing they want to see is you got some trained bush bitch in your house. They will catch her by herself in the kitchen and throw a monkey wrench in your whole program. As soon as they get alone, they'll be like, I can't stand it. You be running behind him doing everything he tell you to do. Who you think he is? You ain't no God. You a human being. You ain't supposed to treat nobody. This house is too big for one person to be cleaned up. Why don't you leave? You always crying. Why don't you just leave it, nigga? Oh, you know something, girl? Do you know you can take half his money? Did you know you can take half his money? Did you know that? Did you know you entitled? He didn't tell you entitled to half? Oh, he only told you half the story then, girl. You can take half the money, the car, the house, the children, all the money he got. You can buy all the zebras and bones you want. Go back home in style, girl. You don't have to put up with this shit and get your hair done right. Cut that big afro shit off and go back home to Africa in style. Who the hell he think he is? Let me tell you something else about Eddie Murphy. That motherfucker ain't nothing but a Oh, hi, Eddie. How you doing? Oh, I didn't know you was here. You scared me. Ooh, I can't stay. I was just talking to Fufu about a couple of things. No. I got to go. You two, y'all two lovebirds talk. Eddie, talk to your woman. Talk to Fufu. You got a lot to talk about. Go on, Eddie, please. Talk to Fufu. And leave me in the kitchen with some bush bitch with an attitude. Eddie, I want to talk to you. What's your problem, baby? I don't like the way you treat me, Eddie. You treat me like animal. You was butt naked on a zebra last month. I don't care, Eddie. I'm an American woman now. I want what's coming to me. Eddie, what have you done for me lately? Well, I want you to be happy with what you want. Half! Give me half, Eddie! Give me half, Mr. Fuck You Man! Suck my dick, Eddie! You motherfucker! Then I'd be on the front page of the African Inquirer like this.
Okay, I'm back. So you see the same PP bro pattern from back in the 80s is what is emerging and rearing its ugly head again today. They are looking for a person that never genuinely existed. First, there's the stereotype that Africans are primitive and backwards. However, when the PP bros got into the African continent, okay, and found Folarusho's Alakija, I hope I said her name correctly. She's a prominent businesswoman and one of the wealthiest women in the world. When they saw her mansion that she owns in Nigeria, that cost $700 million to build. Okay, to put it into perspective, the most expensive home in the U.S. is a little over $200 and something million, I believe. So they are going over there and getting their feelings hurt when they run into the Africans, especially African women who own mansions that they bought with their own coin, who are driving luxurious vehicles, and so on and so forth. That's what they keep running into. However, they still believe that they can find a no English speaking, disadvantaged woman who will be a bang maid, okay, who will jump into his arms the moment he dangles an American dollar and a green card and maybe an iPhone in her face. Well, in today's video, I want to show a couple of very traditional African women who live the way their ancestors have lived before written history. The first one is going to be in a village in Togo, which is a West African nation. And this village is located about 8 hours away from the capital of Lomé, where people still construct their homes using mud. So let's watch and then I'll be back.
There's a ladder. Where does it go? To the grain store. They're always 2.5 meters above the ground. Come on, climb up.
I'll try not to break my neck.
Here. Could you put this inside?
I put it inside.
Yes, inside.
You have to be strong. Is all the cereal kept in the same grain store?
This is my grain store. It's a female one. The cereal for the women goes in there. The beans and the earth peas.
I see.
And on the other side is the male grain store. I don't have the right to go up there without my husband's permission. In that one, you find other foodstuffs like millet, fonio, rice. But even though we have boundaries, we share everything. We just divide up the space.
But is this male-female split the same in all the takientas?
In the land of the Batamariba, we've always believed that women should be autonomous, which is why, economically speaking, she should have her own foodstuffs. If she needs money, she doesn't have to ask her husband. She goes to her grain store and takes what she needs. So, it's a way of keeping her independence.
It's really interesting to see how the spatial organization, the very architecture of the house, displays this sense of equality.
By means of its conception, the takienta places the Batamaris as equals, with the man and the woman being two complementary beings. The woman is there to meet the needs of the man, and vice versa. This is not a dictatorship. Men do not think themselves superior, and they treat women as they should. The takienta represents this balance.
Although women and men have their own respective grain stores, the rooftop is a common living area.
Okay, I'm back. See, you don't get any more traditional than this Batamariba woman. She said that they are independent and have their own granary, which is the equivalent of a woman having her own bank account. The only other place on the planet where 100% of the women, that is teen girls and women rather, from ages 15 and above, okay? The only other place on the planet that for certain 100% has their own bank account is in Norway. And to put it into perspective, slightly less than 97% of women and teen girls who are age 15 and older have their own bank accounts individually within the US. On top of it, Norway ranks number 2 on the United Nations Human Development Index, just only below Switzerland, which ranks number 1. And this standard of living where the women are independent is traditional, long entrenched in the tradition of the Batamariba people of Togo. Put it into perspective, the U.S. ranks at number 21 on the UNHDI, whereas Norway ranks number 2, and the Batamariba people, fundamentally speaking, are on the level of Norway. Globally speaking, women are more independent in the nations that rank higher on the UNHDI than in the nations that rank lower, like Afghanistan. Afghanistan ranks at number 180 out of 191 nations. The 191 nation is South Sudan, and they're currently embroiled in a civil war. Okay. Also, Kutumaku, and that's the name of the village where the independent African woman lives in a home with her own granary, is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So basically, these people are very much so aware of the environment around them and the world around them. They have seen all of the technology that is available to the world, and they can access it at any time. I am sure that they also earn an income from the visiting tourists, because this is a UNESCO Heritage World Site, a World Heritage Site. So they've seen dollars, American dollars. They've seen British pounds. They've seen euros too. See, these people are no different than what we see with the Amish. And fundamentally, we're all alike, whether we're technologically or living technologically advanced, or if we're living very traditionally, we're all the same. So going back to what I was saying, they are The American equivalent of what we're seeing amongst the Batamariba people would be the Amish. They're no different. And you see, the Amish will drive their horses and buggies to Walmart to purchase things. And they grow food. I've been all throughout Amish country. I've seen them when I traveled throughout Maryland, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, parts of Ohio and Indiana, and I believe there are even some in Tennessee. You see, some years back, I ate at a restaurant that was run by some Amish people in Center City, basically downtown Philadelphia. And everything was made from scratch. I can still remember how that one meal kept me full for the entire day. You see, these people are consciously choosing to live the life that they are living. And oh, by the way,
one of the girls we meet is Natou. She learned English in school. One of the girls we meet is Natou. She learned English in school.
Many of them can speak English too. See, what the passport bros are starting to figure out, what the PP bros are starting to figure out, very quickly, in the worst and the most harsh way, is that just because people are living traditionally does not mean that they're stupid. Being from a technologically advanced society does not negate the true requirements of manhood. That's why they are sitting up here with nothing more than smoke and mirrors to push a narrative of U.S. women are being bad and all other women are good, because what's happening is that they're getting out into the world, running into traditional women who are perfectly fluent in English and who are also reading them like they're books. They're also running into women whose standards of living are higher in some cases than what is even commonly seen here within the U.S. I strongly feel that they went into Africa just to launder their colorist, featurist, texturist rhetoric from their past. And they will attempt to segue back into the U.S. dating pool as a so-called changed man. I'm a changed man. I've grown. I've mended my ways. They're going to come with that. Because you see, whether they were in Thailand or the Philippines or Colombia or Brazil, and now going from one nation to the other within the African continent, all 54 of them, I believe, all 54 nations, they still keep on running into the exact same woman and the exact same scenario. And that scenario is called you got to pay up and you got to provide. And oh, they're also running into white people who have intermarried traditional people and live off-grid just like they do, who are speaking the native tongue fluently, and who have lived there for years and years and years. But I digress. You don't hear them talking about the white people that are already there and have been there for decades. Some of them second and third generation. You see, the Maasai of Kenya are another group of people that still live traditionally. And the men use cell phones while they are herding their cattle so that they can be aware of where to find good ground to graze, with good grass for the cattle, where they can water the cows, and any other dangers such as the lions, the leopards, the cheetahs, where they're located. What's the other ones? Hyenas. And in Maasai culture, a man has to pay a dowry of at least 30 cows in order to get married. So to put it into perspective, in the U.S., an entire cow can cost anywhere between $900 and $5,000, depending on a multitude of factors. So this means that the dowry alone can be anywhere between the equivalent of $27,000 and $150,000 US dollars that the man has to provide to the bride's family before he will be able to marry their daughter. And what the PP bros are realizing is that the males of her family would not allow him to carry her off into marriage without him honoring their customs. And when I say their, I mean any group of people, not just among the Maasai, but among any group of other people that they're bumping into in their travels and they're trying to run game on. See, most of these PP bros were raised believing in Abrahamic religions. So even within the biblical text, men had to provide a dowry. And here's the proof. Let's dive into the Bible real quick. Genesis chapter 24. And this is about Abraham's plans to find a wife for Isaac. And so Abraham, according to the story, sent his servant Eleazar to journey back to his homeland. So let's go to chapter 24, verse 4, where Abraham tells Eleazar, "You will go to my country and to my relatives and take a wife for my son Isaac." Okay? So back then, it was common for a man to seek out a wife amongst his own people. Now, let me pause for a second because I'm a swirler. I've divested, and my husband comes from overseas. So when I say that it was common for a man to take a bride from amongst his own people, it was to point out how simply it was just a normal and expected thing to do. And there's a reason why I'm pointing that out. Because, see, why that detail is important, in the same chapter 24, let's skip over to verse 10. It details what Eleazar did prior to setting out on the journey to Abraham's homeland to find a wife for Isaac. Okay? Chapter 10 says, "Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and set out, taking some of his master's good things with him." So he got up and journeyed to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. That's the home of Abraham's brother. Now, what I'm getting at is that the man did not go looking for a bride with ashy hands and empty promises of a green card. He loaded up 10 camels filled with nice and dainty things. Because, see, you had to impress her and you had to impress her family with your sincerity. Okay? Even if you go back into the times of the ancient Egyptians, you will find the same masculinity and also the same woman. See, here is a carving on King Tutankhamun's or King Tut's throne of the marriage between he and his queen on Ki-Sunu-Mun. You can see that each of them, if you look down towards the bottom of the picture, they're each only wearing one sandal. So one has the sandal for the right foot and the other person has the sandal for the left foot, which is symbolizing that they will walk step by step with one another. So there we have proof that the culture regarded men and women, husbands and wives, equally. Just like the lady from the Batamariba tribe said, she said, "This ain't no dictatorship. The men don't think that they're there to overpower the women." Okay, it doesn't work like that. Additionally, if you look to the right of the picture where there is a blue arrow pointing, these are necklaces that are constructed of gold and precious stones. Now, we got to think back thousands of years ago. There wasn't a store to go to buy this stuff. It had to be created. Somebody had to go out there and mine the gold, mine the precious stone, and then take the time to melt down the gold, fashion the stone, and piece it together. So it took a lot of effort. It still takes a lot of effort today. It's just that they didn't have heavy equipment like we do back then. Somebody had to go down deep in the earth and mine that. That is the dowry. That is what goes to the woman. So the issue is not with women, whether or not we're here in the U.S. or in the West in general, or in the East, or living traditionally like our ancestors have done for thousands of years, whether they're amongst the Amish or the Africans or the Asians or anybody else. The problem is that these males don't want to grow up. They are a bunch of Peter Pans. They're the Peter Pan bros. And what they're looking for is a Neverland. Like Life Jennings said, those fellas live in Never Never Land, right next to Peter Pan, where nobody wants to grow old. That song came out back in 2008. The Peter Pan bros don't want to grow up and accept manhood because they are afraid to do what nature requires of them. You see, they talk about traditional women all day long and how they want one for themselves. But they never say anything about what those traditional men have to do. For instance, going back to the Maasai man, when I say they are traditional, they are traditional. They live in places with no running water, no electricity, no AC. Okay, traditional. And those men have to be able to fight off attacking lions in order to preserve their wealth and cattle. Because see, in Maasai Mara or Maasai country, in Maasai land, the wealth is with the cattle. So if they allow a lion, a leopard, a hyena, or a cheetah to come and make a snack out of it, then that reduces the number of cattle they have. And if they don't have enough cows, they can't get married. So you got to be brave, walking around with the very animal that's on every big cat and big dog's menu. You got to fight them off, while at the same time making sure that your cattle stay fed and watered and fattened up and everything. So their initiation into manhood involves taking the mane off of a lion so that they can wear it on their own heads. You heard me right. They have to go and attack a lion and cut his mane off. So they can put it on their own heads. You know what kind of bravery is involved in being that kind of a man? And when you see them, their arms are not flabby. They don't have any fat on their tummy. They are toned. And they run towards danger. They don't run away from it, even when it's dark outside. However, the Peter Pan bros, on the other hand, are running away from the U.S., they're running away from Brazil, and they're also running away from reality. And they're doing this all on this little quest to find Never Never Land, where in this version of Never Never Land, they have cheap access to the pleasure of a woman without any regard of putting her into a life-threatening and economically disastrous scenario. Also that they can go towards the end of it all, because they don't like being the one that's stuck wanking off at a movie, the one that's in the club with others throwing money at women they can't touch, or getting a lap dance without being able to move their hands and feel all up and down and grope her body. You know, it's right there all up in your face and you can't touch it. They don't want to live like that. They don't like that, but they're not willing to do what it takes to be able to impress a woman enough in order for her to be willing to become his wife and allow him to become her husband. Now, given the fact that there are more than 70 million excess males on the planet, and these PP bros are still having a hard time finding dates, especially in places like the US where there is gender parity, it shows more so that the problems lie with them being degenerates. See, what they could have done in order to show that they are real men is demand guaranteed food, shelter, and a basic income from the government for all citizens. They didn't have to run all around the world, but they chose to. So instead of standing up in the country where they're from, instead of doing that, they're going all around the world crying about how they wish they were a completely different ethnicity, as if switching cultures will also switch their characters. And while they're crying about becoming a totally different ethnicity, they're still attempting to sow the seeds of discontent, chaos, and confusion between people who were already cool with one another, never had a problem with each other. All of that just so that they don't have to face manhood. But all I can say is that it won't work. And on that note, that's all I have to say for now. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. Take care until next time.